Hi, and welcome to the next part of this series, From Pedagogy to Andragogy and Beyond, Exploring Lifelong Learning in a Montessori Context. This video series is a capstone project for the Masters of Educational Leadership program with a designation in Montessori Education from Vancouver Island University. My name is Terrence Milley, and I am filming here from the beautiful land of the Six Nations on the Grand River and the Mississauga of the Credit First Nation, who hold the treaty with the Crown for these lands. I also remember the chain of Anishinaabe ancestors who served through time immemorial as stewards of this land, and remember myself as a white settler in this place, with much to learn, and one who needs to walk the lands with care, with curiosity, and with an open heart. This fifth video is focusing more on the preparation of the adult to work with children. So it's a little bit more nuanced towards my personal context as someone who is in the process of becoming a Montessori trainer. So as we speak to teachers or potential teachers about becoming a Montessori teacher, it requires a certain amount of transformation, a certain new way of thinking about education. So in the previous video, we talked about what pedagogy means and how that doesn't really suit what we're thinking of in Montessori, because we're not centering the child and we're not centering development. So making that switch, making that move to being someone who is supporting development and supporting that kind of learning and granting the kinds of freedoms required requires a change of a transformational change of the adult. So in talking about the preparation of the adult, the Montessori guide must prepare themselves on several levels to carry out the multifaceted roles in the process of becoming a prepared adult. This preparation begins in the Montessori training. However, it has to continue throughout life. So it does have a contribution to lifelong learning, or it does require an adult to continue contributing to this process through lifelong learning. The following section, the following information will outline the aspects of the significance of this ongoing work. So the first thing is the intellectual preparation. This means the adult must do the training. The first step in preparing the Montessori guide is the training course itself. The training provides the base knowledge of the presentations, the stories, and the understanding of the theory, the psychology, and the rationale that give the guide understanding to embark on a lifelong journey of discovering the child, of revealing the child. You'll notice I refer to this person as not a teacher, but a guide, because as I've said in the previous videos, the teacher is within the child, and the guide's job is to help reveal that teacher and give that teacher license to do the work of self-construction. Secondly, the adult must practice what they've learned. It's not enough just to know it in your mind. With practice, you'll use the knowledge with wisdom to guide the children. This work is where one gains perspective and a true understanding of the Montessori philosophy. So the essential part of this is to develop the capacity for scientific observation. Observation is the crucial skill that a Montessori guide needs for their practice. It's the next step. The next step is to interpret and then reflect on the observations that are made in light of your knowledge of the developmental psychology of the child, so that you can provide the aid to development. A reflective practice is how the technique of Montessori becomes the art of Montessori and transforms it into an education for life. So it's not enough to say that Montessori isn't a way of education, but it's also the craft of the guide is an art craft. It's something that you have to develop the skills for. And once you really have a good handle on those skills, then you can begin to improvise and to meet the needs of the children as they arise with that improvisation, so that you are meeting their needs. And thirdly, the intellectual preparation continues with continuing education. So the adult can continue to prepare themselves by attending refresher courses, going to conferences, congresses, and workshops, meeting with other practitioners, other guides who are practicing at the same level, and keeping up to date with the general trends in education, reading journals, and keeping up with the new research in child development as a way to frame your Montessori practice in light of the new findings that come out of this work. Okay, so the second area is psychological preparation. So the psychological preparation of the adult includes the integration of the mind, of the body, and the spirit. There are so many details that occupy any individual's day-to-day that it's essential to stand back and realize the big picture of the essential nature of the work to serve the children, and then to bring it all and be there with those children. Fully integrating the mind, the body, and the spirit is a way to keep yourself grounded and a way to be in the present moment. Maintaining a spirit of giving service. Being service-minded is a very good way to frame your work. In her book, The Absorbent Mind, Dr. Montessori compares the role of the adult in the classroom to that of a dutiful valet who is always prepared to serve every need of the master. There are no expectations of when or whether his services are needed. That servant is always available, but it never imposes its presence. In a similar spirit, the guide should serve the child. And then there's the emotional preparation. And that includes the care of the self. Learning to put aside the classroom and build a life for yourself outside of the classroom is important. The Montessori principles, once they're integrated into an individual, become a way of life. And this is very different from carrying home the chores and worries of the classroom. It's not a bag of laundry that needs to be done at home. The principle of freedom to explore one's potential and develop as an individual within the community context is as relevant to the adult as it is to the child. In the adult, the exploration is self-motivated. When one has a fulfilling life, one is at peace, and this is the peace one can bring to the classroom and to the children. Personal experiences, interests, and skills enrich the classroom and the classroom practice. Balance in one's professional and personal life is the key to success as a Montessori guide. Be true and be you. As human beings, adults will experience emotional ups and downs in their personal life and their relationships. Each day, as the guide enters the classroom, it is often suggested that the guide lay aside any personal baggage, allowing the guide to be fully present in the mind and body while they're with the children. Well, I challenge you. Is that always the truth? Can you still be yourself when you enter the classroom? And in what ways? These are questions that we could open up for discussion if we were in person and talk about our experiences. But in many ways, when you're going into, especially to an elementary classroom, when you offer the children an element of your truth, it goes a lot further than trying to leave that at the door. And finally, we have the spiritual preparation. Before entering and working with the children, overcoming any preconceived notions regarding this and regarding children is important. This is a difficult part of the preparation of the adult. All of the knowledge of Montessori pedagogy is absolutely meaningless if the adult does not approach each day in the classroom with fresh eyes, humility, grace, and a willingness to learn from the children. That's right, you as the guide will learn from the children. At the same time, the spiritual preparation of the adult has got nothing and everything to do with our work in the classroom. It is not a direct preparation of our work in the classroom in the sense of providing us with the techniques and practical knowledge of the work, but it is the indirect preparation that gives meaning, and it informs every aspect of the work. It moves our work beyond what is happening academically or socially in the classroom to the larger sphere of what does this mean for human development. What is spiritual preparation? Well, it's an attitude and a frame of mind. It's a worldview and a state of being. It's a commitment to developing an understanding of the true potential of the child in the second plane of development, in this case. It is a quest for understanding human nature with the children, and it's a journey of co-creation and of self-development. It is an acceptance that our mission goes beyond our work in the classroom. It's an attitude of universal love, of cosmic love. The spiritual preparation of adults requires us to radically change our deep-seated beliefs about the child and their capacities, the role of education and the adult. We all have grown up with the notion of the child as an empty vessel in the role of education, and that the educator fills that empty vessel with all of the necessary knowledge. Well, during Montessori training, we've been challenged to look at and recognize the infinite capacities of the children rather than at their deficiencies. We are being challenged to look again at the notion of education and the role of the teacher. We have stood on its head the notion that learning is a consequence of teaching. We've begun on our journey towards the acceptance that education is not something that teachers do, but it is a spontaneous process of learning in all human beings. From this recognition of the essential nature of human beings as learners comes hope for us. It is not only the child who is the learner. As adults, we continue to learn and adapt. The difference is that we have to consciously make a choice as to learn as adults learn, or to learn as adults. The child we were has given us the tools to make this choice and to act on it. As teachers in the Montessori classroom, we are uniquely placed, and we are amidst children who will continue to guide and to inspire us. So with that, we also need to find some humility and take the time for self-reflection. When searching for answers to something that's going on, begin with yourself. Our training and our practice inculcate a spirit of self-reflection. The habit of self-reflection can result in feelings of inadequacy and despair about being worthy, especially as a Montessori practitioner. But it's important to shift the lens from the personal and the subjective to one that is universal and from an objective point of view. This is the place where the spiritual preparation plays a crucial role. And remember, in self-reflection, you center the child. Remember that the central figure in the task of education is the child. As adults and guides, it is our role to support the children in this task. An essential, but by no means central role. The heart of education is the child. All of our work preparing the environment and preparing ourselves only sets the stage for natural human development to unfold. This work is the work of the child. Our role as adults is to support this development. We think of our mission in these larger terms. It is then that humanity can develop as a whole and move forward to create a peaceful and more just society.